Erev Tov time. Let's continue about Tisha B'Av. A few things that we didn't say yet, which is number one, the Chazal said that on Tisha B'Av there's no shelat shalom. You know, just like Avel. You know, you're not supposed to give him shalom. So same thing on Tisha B'Av. We're doing Avelut. So therefore, if you see your friend, you know, wherever you see him, in the street, in the shul, whatever, don't tell him, Shalom Aleichem, how are you, Kakdila? No, you don't tell him this on Tisha B'Av. Nothing. Just pass by, you know. That's it. You don't have to say nothing. Don't say, anything like that. How are you? How are you feeling? Also, right? We don't say that. We don't. It's like just like Avelut.
Somebody tells you shalom.
So yeah, that's what the Chazal said, right? If comes Amaretz, right? He doesn't know this halacha, you know what I mean? He comes to you and says, Shalom. So what are you supposed to do? If you don't say nothing, you're going to be rude, you know? It's not nice, you know what I mean? You're going to be rude. So therefore they tell you, say, you know, like very quietly, you know, very serious, you know? Like this, you know? Like, you know, very, you know, very sad, in a very sad way. That's what you should do. Right, so this way you're balancing it out. On the one hand, you know, you're observing the halacha of Tisha B'Av by not doing happy, you know, Drishat Shalom. On the other hand, also, you're not being rude, you know, because Amaretz, you know, if he doesn't know this halacha, he's going to get offended. He say, what, this guy doesn't like me, you know, he doesn't say Shalom to me, doesn't like me, probably, I did something to him, you know, he has a grudge on me. That's why, you know, they don't want this. So, because of Shalom, Mipnei Shalom, they said, you know, answer him, but very serious, very quiet, you know, somber. Like this. That's what they say. I'm sorry?
It's going to bring more questions. What happened? What's going on?
Well, look, you know, they should feel, you know, that's Tisha B'Av. They should write it, so it's good if they have more questions. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the tefillin, right? On Tisha B'Av, the truth is, you know, that if you look in the Rishonim, the Geonim, they say that we're patur from tefillin. We're not really chayav in tefillin, Tisha B'Av. Why? Because Avelut also, you know, Avel is not, he doesn't put tefillin, the first day. You know? First day doesn't put tefillin. Avel. I'm sorry? No, Avelut, the first day Avel doesn't put tefillin.
It's not
Yeah. First day. No, not Onen. I'm not talking about Onen. Onen, he's patur from all the mitzvot. You understand? Every mitzvah is patur. But Avel doesn't put tefillin. Right? Where do we, what's the source for that? Yecheskel, right? Hashem told him, right? You know? Do like Avelut. Don't put tefillin. So we learn from them. So that's why we don't put tefillin in the morning. You know, in the original halacha, that's the way it was. You know what I mean? Everybody did like that. The Geonim, the Rishonim, nobody put tefillin in the morning in Tisha B'Av. Everybody came, they prayed Shachrit with no tefillin. And then what they did was they put at Mincha, they put tefillin. You know why? Because over there it's time of Nechama already. You know, Hashem is being menachem us, you know, to show us that we're going to be okay, you know, everything is going to be alright, we're going to go to the Geulah, Hashem, Mashiach is going to come, everything is going to be good, we're being reminded, right, that's towards the Mincha, towards the Shkiyah, that's what we do, the Nechama, you know, that's why we say Nachamu, right, in the end, right, after Mincha, we say Nachamu. Why? Because Hashem is menachem us at that time, so, therefore, right, that's why we put the tefillin during Mincha. But now what happened was, right, that the minhag changed a little bit, right? Now things were shifted a little bit. Why is that? Because of the Arizal, you know? The Arizal, the Mekubal, the Kabbalah, according to him, you were supposed to put tefillin and shachrit on Tisha B'Av. Understand? According to Kabbalah. According to the Talmud, for sure not. No question, right? According to the Rishonim, for sure not. But came the Arizal, right? So what happened was that in Yerushalayim, you know, they started to do the minhag like the Arizal. Little by little, you know. Arizal was 500 years ago. You know, so they started to do like the Arizal. So little by little. Now, if you go to Yerushalayim, all the Keilot, Sfardiot, you know, they put tefillin in the morning. Everybody. They put tefillin in the morning. Because they're doing like the Arizal. You know. Even though Maran Shulchan Aruch said the other way, to put it at Mincha, but, you know, right, we have a, you know, Minhag, the Sfardim, you know what it is, right? The Minhag is, when it comes to Tefillah, we do like the Kabbalah, you know. The minhag is like the Kabbalah. So this is why, you know, we started to do it this way. So therefore, you know, you're going to have like different keilot, you know. One keilah doesn't put, one keilah they put. It's okay, you know. Everybody has their own minhag. Baruch Hashem, no problem, you know. Either way, both ways are good. You know what I mean? So now, what happens, right? Over here they put tefillin, they put tefillin in the morning. So now let's say comes somebody, right? Some Moroccan guy, Tunizai, right? And he doesn't put tefillin in the morning. You know what I mean? So don't start fighting with him, making a machloket, Oh, why didn't you came over here, you should, There's too many hagim, everybody knows, So don't start fighting with each other about these things. Some people do like this, some people do like that, right? The car is, right? We have to have shalom between us. You know what I mean? Why fight for these kinds of things? Ridiculous. I mean, there's no reason to fight. Every minhag is good. Baruch Hashem, Yishtabach Shemo. They're both good. So whatever you do, I was just, at the Sephardic Jewish Center over there in the Queens Boulevard, right behind the King David restaurant. You know that place, right? Rabbi Hef's shul. He's not there anymore. He retired. But anyway, so what happened was I spoke to the president. I was there on Shabbat, and he told me, he says, over here, he says, our shul is open for 50, 60 years already, it's the oldest shul in the neighborhood, it's Friday. So he said, we don't put tefillin in the morning, that's what we do. I said, okay, fine, I'm not going to fight with you. What do you want from me? What do you want me to fight with you? Okay, fine, do the way you have, do like that. That's fine, whatever. Either way is good, right? Baruch Hashem, as I said, I'm not going to fight with nobody about that. That's the thing. Okay, very good. So tefillin, right, that's the way it works. And there's also, I want to talk to you guys about something important. There's a lot of people who are taking medicines, all kinds of things. Right? So what is the rule with medicines? All kinds of, and also, what is the rule with people who are sick? So somebody who's sick, that means, he's in bed, right? Not because he's coughing or something, I'm not talking about that, right? He's in bed, he has a flu or something. He's patur from the tzom. He doesn't have to do tzom. Patur. Somebody who's sick. Patur. That's the way it is, If a person has a flu, right, and he fasts, lo aleinu, he could wind up in the hospital. It's going to be dangerous for him. Who can do such a thing like that, So don't be crazy, don't be a hero. You know what I mean? If you're not feeling good, you're in bed, you got a problem, don't fast, forget about it. It's not for you, But if you're just walking around, you have a sore throat or something, that doesn't mean you're patur from the fast because of that, right? No. We're not talking about that, right? Or something is, you have a headache, let's say a little headache or something, you take some aspirin. Okay, take aspirin, but don't eat. You know what I mean? That's the thing, right? That's the way it is, If you're really, really sick, then patur, right? Also, if your doctor tells you, because, you're old or you have a, condition, so doctor tells you, you're not allowed to fast, not for you. You should listen to him. Listen to the doctor. He knows what he's talking about. He's not telling you just to be a wise guy. So if he tells you you're not allowed to fast, listen to him. Because if you don't, right, lo aleinu, again, right, you could be in the hospital, or you could be even worse, right, in a different place, if you know what I mean. Right? Over there on Main Street, lo aleinu, right, over there. Not for shopping, if you know what I mean, right? Not for shopping over there. You don't want to go over there, right? So listen to the doctor. If the doctor tells you something, listen to him. Right? Always, famous story. He used to tell us every year, Maran Rabbi Danielov. Every year he used to tell a story. Every year, same story. Sometimes, he repeats something like every time. Why does he repeat it? What? Something happened to his head? What? He's dizzy? What? What happened? The reason why he said it every year is because he wants to tell people, warn people, be careful. Tizaher. Tizaharu. So what does that mean? He used to tell people a story, that actually happened, a true story. In Yerushalayim, there's a Bukharian, right, section over there, quarter, right? The Bukharian section, right? The Bukharian neighborhood. So, the Bukharian neighborhood has a lot of masort over there, a lot of tradition, It's a very, very important place for all kinds of tradition. So, in the old days, what happened was, that all the shuls, the Sephardi shuls were there, in that area. Bet Yisrael, Bukharian section, all the Sephardi shuls were there. So Maran, when he was young, he used to go there to pray, right? He used to go to, one shul that he went to was Borochov, which is a famous shul, right? And there's another one, right, that now it's very, very famous, right? That big shul. Musayef, right, exactly, Musayef. They have like a shtiblach, they pray all day there, all day they have binyamin, and also all day they have shiurim, divrei Torah, They bring some big rabbanim over there. Musayef. This is a very important shul. Anyway, right, so what happened was that Maran used to pray at Borochov. Yeah. That was when he was younger, right? And so what happened, he went there, and he was there all the time. They had a library there also, Svarim, books, good library, So he used to sit there and learn there all day, Maran. You know, he was that was his kollel, you know, at that time. So what happened was, right, there was a gabbai there, you know, president of the shul, you know, right? Gabbai. His name was Yoni Borochov. That was his name, right? Lo aleinu. Right, so what happened with this? This guy, you know, he was old man, you know, and he got sick, you know, heart condition, you know. So he went to the doctor, you know, and the doctor told him, you know, for Yom Kippur, he says, you're not allowed to fast. You have a heart condition. Don't do it. You know, you have to eat on Yom Kippur. Doctor told him, right? So he came to Maran, you know, and he told him, he says, doctor told me I have to eat on Yom Kippur. What can I do? You know? So he says, I never did that in my life, you know, to eat on Yom Kippur. So I can't imagine something like that. So Maran told him, he says, whatever the doctor told you, listen to him. Don't say nothing. Don't think nothing. Whatever he tells you, do it. So what happened, right? He didn't want to listen, you know. He couldn't, you know, get this into his head, you know. What? Eating on Yom Kippur? What? You know? Such a thing like this? Crazy. So what did he do? He started fasting, you know. By the time the afternoon came, you know what I mean? The guy, you know, fell on the floor, fainted, you know what I mean? They called the ambulance, took him to the hospital, dead. He died. On Yom Kippur, can you imagine? Dead. You know? So Maran tells us this story every year. Why? To remind us, you know, don't be crazy. You crazy? Doctor told you, you know, you're sick, you have a heart condition, you have all kinds of things, and you're still fasting? You know? It says in the Torah, right, by the chai bahem, you have to live by the mitzvot, not to die by them, you know. Hashem didn't tell you to die by the mitzvot. He told you to live by the mitzvot. That's the thing, you know. So a person has to remember every time, whether it's Tisha B'Av or it's Yom Kippur, same thing, you know. Whatever the doctor tells you, listen to him, you know. If you want to get a second opinion, you can go to a different doctor. Okay, fine, you know. Shop around a little bit if you want, you know. But don't just, you know, decide on your own. Oh, you know, doctor doesn't know what he's talking about, you know. He's, you know, this doctor is idiot. No, why? You're idiot, not the doctor. Who told you? Who told you doctor is idiot? You're idiot.
Rabbi,
Well, who told you? Yeah.
how are we going to eat on Saturday?
Everything normal.
Okay.
Everything normal. Shalosh seudot, basar, yain, everything, right? The whole thing, top to bottom. The only thing, as we said, right, is that before Shkia, you got to stop eating, right? Before sunset. So before 8:10, stop eating. You know, that's it, right? And now you got to get ready for Tisha B'Av, right? But before that, you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. And then, as we said, right, yesterday, also not the day before, whatever, that 20 minutes after Shkia, which is about 7:30, right, we take off the shoes also, the leather shoes. You know, you're not allowed to wear them anymore because of Tisha B'Av. So you can put some other shoes, right? Sneakers, whatever, tennis shoes, whatever, canvas, whatever you got there, right? What do you call it? I'm sorry?
Crocs?
Yeah, Crocs. Yeah, Crocs is good, right? The synthetic, that's what I was looking for that word, right? Synthetic shoes, you know? Some of them, by the way, also on Tisha B'Av, same thing. Some of them, they look like leather, you know, but they're synthetic. They're not leather. Are you allowed to wear that? Or is it Maitain? The answer is you're allowed to wear it. You know, we're not worried about Maitain. The rabbis didn't go that far. You know what I mean? To do Maitain on this. Gzera, la gazinan, right? We don't do two gzerot, one on top of the other. So therefore, you know, if your shoe looks like leather, but it's synthetic, mutar, you're allowed to wear that, no problem, right? Even though it's nice and shiny, you know, and it looks, you know, fancy. Doesn't matter, it's okay, you know, no problem with that. So getting back, right, to, as we said, the medicines, right? So a person, you know, who's taking medication, you know, so what does he do? Very simple. If the medication has no taste or bad taste, you're allowed to take that, right? Whether it's Tisha B'Av or Yom Kippur, whatever it is, no problem. That's not called eating. When you're not enjoying it, it's not called eating. You're just swallowing something. You know? That's not called eating. So therefore, you know, whoever needs to take medication, doctor told him to take this, that, right? Take it. Yeah, take it. Why not? The only problem is, you know, when the medication is sweet. You know, so you're going to enjoy it, you know, with your palate. So there, what do? If the pill is sweet, the capsule is sweet, so what do? Wrap it in cellophane, you know? Thin cellophane, wrap it, and swallow it like that, you know? That's it. Right, that's what you do. This is what you won't enjoy. You won't enjoy the sweetness. You understand? It's not going to touch you. It's not going to touch your palate. This is what you do. The big rabbi said like that. This is not my idea. So don't worry, it's going to be okay, you know? And it's not going to kill you. Don't worry. A little cellophane is not going to kill nobody. Don't worry. You're not going to go to the hospital. Don't worry about it.
What if you have to take with water?
Yeah, so if you need some water, you can't swallow without water, you can take a little bit of water. Yes, that's allowed. Because you're not doing it for drinking, you're doing it just to swallow the pill. So the poskim say that's allowed. A little bit of water. I personally don't need it. I can swallow a pill without water. I don't need it. Baruch Hashem, I don't know, I have something in my mouth. I have something there that gets it down, But some people, they cannot get it down. So then you got to take a little bit of water, of course, And you don't make shehakol on the water, because you're not drinking for thirst. You know what I mean? Shehakol you only make when you're thirsty. Has nothing to do with that, right? You're just drinking it to get the pill down, the capsule, whatever it is, right? So that's the way it is. If it's sweet, you know what I mean? Then you gotta wrap it up, right, with cellophane or something like that. Something thin. It's gonna go down nice, right? Make it tight, nice and tight. They won't be. But Baruch Hashem, nowadays, most medicines, they're not sweet. You know what I mean? They're not. So even the vitamins, today they're not sweet. You know what I mean? So it's not really a big problem. Either way. The general rule is like this, the Talmud, that whatever you don't enjoy, the taste of it, you're allowed to eat it. Whether it's Yom Ta'anit or it's even on Pesach, same thing, right? On Pesach, let's say you have a medicine which has chametz. You know what I mean? But if you have no taste, you're allowed to swallow that medicine on Pesach because you're not enjoying it. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen, Amen. רבי יוחנן בן אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לעזור לישראל, לפיכך ירבה להם תורה ומצוות של ממון חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה בידי.